Okay viewers, welcome to the latest video. So if you remember, probably the second video, we had trouble getting this flywheel off. I couldn't get a puller because all of the 27mm pullers that are listed are for Yamahas and Hondas, and they've got left hand threads. This is a right hand thread. So that comes out 26. The nearest metric thread out size is 27. So you've got to add a little bit for the threading. So in order to get the correct nut for this, or whatever, you need to measure the pitch of the thread, and the closest I can get is that, which is hard to show on camera of course, but that is 1.5. So it's an M27 times 1.5 that we need. So I bought this, I think this is called a pipe plug, but it could be a sump plug, I don't know. And this is M27 times 1.5, already made, because a die that size is really expensive, so it's already made. It's made of stainless steel, which is probably not quite the right material to do this with. I'm going to try and adapt this to be a puller. That central area there across the flats is 12mm, so 12mm is the tap size for M14. So I need to drill this and then try to tap it out to M14. And as it happens, the biggest drill that I've got is 12.5, and that is 12.5. That is 12, sorry. So I should just about be able to get the clearance on the other side. What I didn't have was a drill press. However, I have just been to the car boot sale last Sunday, so for the princely sum of £15 we found this drill press. I don't know if it's any good or not, but it does work. You switch it on, it goes and rumbles. So it may need a bit of work, and we might do a video on that later, but we now have a drill press, and I'll just put that on there like that. There you go. We can now drill the thing. So two parts of the jigsaw have come together, so now we've got to try and sort out the rest of it. So there are some drawbacks to this plan. The first one is that it's made of stainless steel, which is not an ideal material for a puller. Really, you really want like a hardenable carbon steel, really. But we'll give it a try. And the other drawback possibly is that there may not be enough depth there, maybe. So here we have the marking off of the piece, and then a punch. Now we're going to try drilling, which has been mostly successful, but it did turn out to be slightly off centre. I guess I need some practice. You can see slightly off centre there. There's a tap from the US, 14mm bolt. So this is a cut video of this tap, so we did go back to get the swath, don't worry about that. So that's an M14. So I have given this a shot, and it was a bit wonky, I have to say. What happened is what I feared would happen, and that is that this material, stainless steel, is actually too soft for this job, and it's just gone all over the place. It can't take the pressure. So, back to the drawing board with that one. So, on a lighter note, the drill press has done a much needed job, and it did it reasonably well. I think there are still issues with it. So the vise doesn't tighten properly. It hasn't got a V in it for holding circular items. That's a bit irritating. It keeps popping up on one side, which again, you know, must be quite a cheap vise, really. There's something wrong with the threads here, that needs sorting out too. And then we've got the drill here, appears to be making a hell of a racket, so possibly that needs looking at too, I would think. But apart from that, you know, everything seems to work on it. It has done the job. So it seems that after the 4th attempt, it is still on. I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Well, look what arrived this morning. We have these 2 carborundum bits from China, and I actually bought these from a Frenchman in France because he was offering 2 for the price of 1. So you'd pay £10 in the UK for 1, and in France he was offering 2 for £10 from France too. And remember, he's already imported these from China also, so these are French, Chinese, English carborundum bits now. So what we've got inside here is essentially hard steel on the end there, very hard steel. So this is the location of a nut, and there's actually 4 of these, and no, there's 8 of these, sorry. 4 of them have come out and 4 of them haven't, and this is one of the ones that hasn't. It's a really difficult location to get into with anything. This one on the top isn't so bad because you can get a straight drill on it, but if you look at the one here, we've tried to take one of them out. It's been an absolute bugger to get anything in there, and you can see just there, that's the location of one of the other ones that won't come out, and you've got this piece in the way of getting a straight drill in there, which is really awkward. So what I've bought are the carborundum grinding bits, essentially, to grind the tops off the screws, which is going to take a few hours of work, but we'll get them off. And they're metric screws anyway, so we can just replace them. I know it's not that big a deal to damage the actual screws, as long as we don't pierce this casing. We are struggling to get this out, I'll tell you now. Yee-hee! There we go. There you go, for those of you who want to see that mangled nut. So, that was a heck of a travesty. I don't think we've damaged the case too much, but it is finally out. Wow, astonishing. So now, got one on the other side. Okay, so if you see here, the bolt on the other side is a proper bolt. So, take that out, no problem, 10mm. Well, this is an Allen key. So the problem is that most Allen keys are too big to go in there, and I don't have a spare one to saw it down, otherwise I would probably do that. So we've put a hex bit in there, and we're going to use a crescent wrench, and it does seem to be working. So there's the result, and you can see why it wouldn't come out. Corrosion jacked in there. So having freed up the impeller just here, which doesn't look in too bad on the surface anyway, that thing just slides off. So that all needs cleaning up now. So we've now been able to get this off, and essentially sticky corrosion, a lot of just really stuck old stuff stopping it coming off. That's kind of a good sign, because it means that a lot of it's still pretty tight. It's not really mega worn out. So looking at this impeller, so this is the reason why I took this off, because I wanted to see if it's any good. It doesn't look dreadful. I thought that would be absolutely horrible, but then again, if you think about it, it's stuck in that little chamber and the oxygen is not getting to it, so yeah, that stops it rotting, I guess. So, you know, we'll put some Vaseline on this and stop it getting any worse. And then, so this is where we are currently at with it. That's the shaft that drives the prop in the next stage, and that's the gear shifter, the other one. This is the impeller cavity. This is where the impeller goes. You can see there's a lot of corrosion on it. This doesn't come any further down because there's a little piece of stud to stop the impeller from just spinning round and round effectively. And these are all connected up with rubber bushes. So you can see there's one there, and there's one down in the casing too. But apart from that, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looks like it's connecting okay. So this is the impeller itself, and there is a bit of corrosion on the inside of the shaft there which needs cleaning up. But it is otherwise, actually, you know, there's no really bad cracks in it or anything, so it's actually in pretty reasonable condition. So we'll put a Vaseline on that and probably put it back in again. You can see the amount of crud that was building up on this thing. Look at that, tricky. So this mystery piece here, this is the water intake, I think, for the cooling. And this piece here does have a gasket underneath. That is not moving. That is solid as a rock. So that needs to be sorted out. And then if you look underneath there, there's no gasket on this area at all. Well, if you look at what arrived in the post this morning from China. So this is another attempt at getting the flywheel off. So we've got the right thread. It's a bit slack. It does go right down though. So the hole in the middle is about 14, I think, or 13 maybe, and it does fit over this. So I was going to tap this out to M16, but the problem is that you need a 14mm drill to do that. So firstly, I don't have a 14mm drill, but as you can just see there, it says the max is 13 on my new drill press. So the second job I need to do on this, it's too small. Okay, so this next tap, this is the main tap. So this is the M14 wheel nut. That is a bit looser than I would really like it to be. So maybe this won't work, I don't know. But the thread is quite long, so we'll see how it goes. It might be alright. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to try something else. So there we are with that. Goes right down to there, which is enough. So that goes on. So I'm telling you the idea because this here, this is mild steel, and it's not spring steel. Effectively, it's not treated steel. So don't know if it'll be strong enough, or whether we'll have the same problem as we had with the stainless steel. So one further problem with this is soft steel is that centre hole there, it should be M12, it should be metric 12 drill, and it's actually metric 13. So these threads that are on this are a little bit shallow, so that may also cause a problem, I don't know, but we've got to try it, you know, and eventually we'll probably have to buy a puller if this doesn't work. It's only got to work once. So this morning we received these from China. These are O-rings to go onto the bottom of the impeller box, and they were only like £3 or something. They're not very expensive. We also received these. These are to replace the bolts which we had to chop off, sadly. But this is what we got after we did the heat treatment. This should have softened it up. Polished a couple of faces there so that you can see how what colour the steel goes, which indicates how the treatment's worked or not. So I dug this out the back of the garage. So Prometheus never really made this easy. So I'm going to go for Prog 2. Prog 2 was polymer clay, which never worked very well, it used to burn it, so I'm going to take that one off. I think I've almost got this. So, according to all the manuals, what you do is you ramp it up fast, and then you slightly overheat, and then you go off, rather than sinking it for a length of time, because apparently it can change, the colours can change on the steel if you leave them for too long. So yeah, I'm just thinking, so if I go Pro 2, that's ramp full, so it's going to ramp up, and then we want 350, which is slightly over. Ramp up to 350. and then the time is that one there, I think. So I think you then set that to, I don't think I want as much as that. I think about 3 minutes or something like that. And hopefully that will harden it correctly. And then ramp 2 down to 0. Now ready to start. Which, I think we pressed that to start, so. So I was going to do some watch punches in this thing. I might yet do that, I don't know. So, start. That is now on. So let's see what happens. I think that's the room temperature now. But we are in August, so that's probably about right. It does feel a little on the chill side, so that's about right, I think. So you can see the temperature is slowly rising. So one thing with these Prometheus ovens, if you think you'd get one, this area on the top here, don't put anything on it, especially plastic or paper, because that just gets real hot. They do go up to a pretty high temperature. You can melt silver with them, but it doesn't do a great job, to be honest. And they can be used for enamel as well, I think. You also need to put them onto a ceramic tile just to stop anything underneath catching fire, because they do get pretty warm. So just looking at this, that is ramping up way faster than I expected. So I'm kind of thinking that it's quite a thick bit of steel, might be a little bit too fast, so maybe I should have put it in for a little longer, like 5 minutes or something. Anyway, I can just do it again. So okay, so when it reaches 350, it then runs for 3 minutes. Oh, do you know, that might be enough, I don't know, we'll give it a quick check. So the watch punches that I put in there came out just a nice pale blue colour, which is about right, I think. Okay folks, that brings us to the end of this little video, which is already 25 minutes long. So thanks very much for watching folks, and see you in the next one.